Hello and welcome to Defense India podcast. And before we start this video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel.
Meitei macha moina pawung bireng honda bahom tang macha jingna hajage pawung birena ibani bu asingma na samani khambi bo taragadi pawung birena ibani thawaje amutadi kambiu yam boina pamiba dabi je pawung birena amutangi athubada yam boin honda yaunaba pawung birena athubada honabiu aduga ibani buju amutangi pawung birena meitei macha moina koibu na samani khalaga amutang kambiu thawai pawung birena thamo sengna hajari na sana pawung birena meitei macha aseng boi taragadi khoigi sibu amutadi kambiu yam boi dimani ju pawung birena athubada yari makai athubada phangnaba pawung birena amutang honabiu simtang thamo sengna pawung birena ai hajage.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Defense India podcast, the podcast where we discuss matters related to India's internal security and much more. And joining me on the podcast is our expert on everything about India's internal security, Kuki Militants. Kuki, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Akash.
So, Kuki, stories have been coming in from Manipur. We have discussed it extensively on the podcast, the kind of violence that has happened, the kind of arms and ammunitions that the Kuki militants have now access to. And a few days ago, a news came in that two of Meitei people were kidnapped by these Kuki militants, and they are demanding that whatever demands that they have made to the Manipur government, they should be taken care of. So first of all, I just want to get your insight about this whole incident that has happened.
Akash, the thing is, two of these Meiteis were, abducted by these Kuki militants, and their demand was that 11 of their people who have been arrested should be released. And
Right.
just a while ago, in fact, the release has happened, and these two Meiteis have returned home safely, and that was announced by the Chief Minister himself.
Right.
So it was basically, those 11 people, indulging in violence and, extreme activities, and, 11 of them got caught and they were arrested. And then immediately after that, to secure the release of these 11 people, they abducted two Meiteis after that, which, was met with a lot of protests, and there were quite a lot of protests across Manipur, seeking the release, and
Right.
I finally went on to agree to the demands of these Kukis, and released those in captivity in exchange for 11 of their men. So that's what happened actually.
Right. But isn't it, doesn't it show the kind of weakness of the Manipur government over here, that they are allowing some radical groups to run havoc, and to be very honest, it seems like the situation in the 1980s of Punjab, the 1990s of Punjab, that similar kind of radical groups taking control of the state, and this is something what is happening in Manipur. So questions would be raised about how Biren Singh is tackling this whole situation.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, in a nutshell, it does look a little, a very soft reaction. Basically, it was done more with the fact that, that of late, if you see the news, it is the Kuki insurgents or militants, who are, on a rampage. They're basically, we've heard in recent times that rockets are being fired, and, extreme amount of violence. Now, I think there's a huge demand by the Meitei community that these people have to return, return home safe. And so I think, that was a larger consideration, because, as we said, that there were a lot of protests which had happened in the aftermath of the arrest. So I don't think they wanted the situation to escalate from the other end as well. And I think that is why it was such a, an approach. I mean, it was, I wouldn't say surrender or something, but in the interest of peace, so that, it doesn't go from bad to worse. But I think, but it should not, however, set a precedent, that, every time you arrest one militant out there and then they go and abduct someone and then, start, demanding the release. So I think there is a urgent need for some kind of strong action against these people and, to push them back and not, keep giving into demands like this, thinking of peace today or peace tomorrow and things like that. And you have to, deal with it more strongly. Otherwise, it kind of becomes a precedent and these kind of things can keep happening, very often.
Right, Vicky. And like, of course, we also, before starting the podcast, we also discussed about a video that has, surfaced about of another community. It's more of a sub-tribe of Kukis. That is what has been said. Zumi, and a video is going viral where they are showcasing some, AR rifles and some modern like vests and bullets and helmets and all those kind of things. So of course it is going very much viral on Reddit and other platforms also. So so is it a possibility that seeing the kind of response or the lackluster response from the government on the Kuki insurgency and the way that these Kuki militants are now operating, the sub-tribes of Kukis are also now getting more momentum. They are also getting a little bit more money and don't know where money or the cash flow is coming in. Could be the drug money that is there, the poppy money or something like that. But now they are also arming themselves up. So is it possible that Manipur is looking at a very disturbing times in the coming few months, in terms of there could be a large scale violence, not just from the Kukis but from other smaller tribes also?
No, I mean, the Zuni Revolutionary Army, I mean, the video that you're talking about, it was actually formed in 97,
Okay.
following, this one, what is that? There were some tensions in Manipur between the Kuki people and another Paitis tribe, okay, which happened. And so this has emerged out of a parent organization called as Zuni Reunification Organization. Now, there have been violent incidents and, they pretty much, are involved, in a lot of violent incidents. But again, in 2005, there was some, talking with the government and they announced a ceasefire and things like that. They announced a ceasefire. But while, they had not, taken part actively in anything, major in Manipur, because I think after we're seeing such level of escalation only now. But in 2005, after the ceasefire, I've not seen much from them. But then, with these videos circulating, and I mean, it appears as though, they're back here, to support this. They always did support the Kuki insurgents. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, they were, they had such sophisticated arms and all that. But whether that video which is in circulation, whether it's new or whether it's old, is again a subject matter of debate. In which this one I would, go back to, what the army chief, General Upendra Dwivedi said. He was speaking of that Chanakya Defense Dialogue, in which he said that, it was basically a rumor mongering that led to major violence in Manipur. Okay, but he's also saying, it's stabilizing over a period of time. So I think somewhere the army is very confident that, the situation is under control and it is not, going to escalate any further. So I think, these videos really need to be verified before, they're posted. And, I don't think it's time to, kick off panic among people, because, it is these kind of videos and these kind of, messages that circulate, which are unverified, which have led to violence. If you notice that in 2023, it began with the rumor that the Anglo-Kuki Centenary Gate was being burnt. And then it was confirmed that it was not burnt at all. Okay, that is one thing. So, that rumor mongering is what led to major violence. But the arms and ammunition that you see in that video, very capable that group can have it, because they are foreign funded. They are funded for a reason so that they destabilize our nation out here. So whether it's new or old is what the debate is. That's the only thing.
Right, Vicky. And like so, in terms of if we talk about the kind of armor and ammunitions that we saw in that video, and clearly it was not an old armor and ammunitions. They were kind of used by the modern warfare by militaries across the world. And so then the question arises: where are these groups, the Kuki, the Zumis, and all those other sub tribes are getting the fundings from? Is it from China? Is it from Myanmar? Are they selling? Is the the drug money is being pumped into this armed revolution of these tribes? And why is the state government not able to curb, the kind of money that is flowing in, and these militant organizations are getting this kind of money? So isn't that again more a failure of the state?
No, I wouldn't, pin the blame only on the state. See, the thing is, the issues like what has happened is, I think now that with the drug route to Manipur becoming a little difficult because of all the violence and the kind of security there, they are moving, to states like Impal and this one. So drugs coming into Manipur is not exactly a problem that has occurred overnight. It has not occurred overnight. It has happened for many, many, many years now. It's gone unchecked. And while it does fund such operations, there's also an element of foreign funding. In a thing to in a bit to destabilize. But yes, now if you look at it, with the escalation of the problem happening and the handling being, kind of very slow. It's given scope and room to a lot of these these external forces to operate more vehemently in these parts. And so I think now there has to be negotiation on one side. If you can understand that, I wouldn't blame the entire community for the violence, because there is what is that? As the army chief had rightly says that polarization exists between communities. Okay, the situation is stable, but it's tense. There's no doubt about it. So the urgent need is to rein in on these elements who are just there to create ruckus and violence, rather than because these are the people who will not let the negotiations take place. So I think those have to be dealt with an iron fist, and only then proper negotiations can take place, and then the issues sorted out.
Yeah, Vicky, that's true. And one more thing. So, like, where the now would the Meitei community will live in fear in terms of like if something like this happens, if the army or if the state government capture these Kuki militants, they would always be on the target because the precedent might be have been set like that.
Yeah, correct. Now, the thing is, it is not just a problem that has to be looked at in the context of a Manipur, basically. Again, before commenting on any kind of foreign hand, but there has also been a lot of turmoil which is taking place in Myanmar, as a result of which the infiltrations into India have really shot up there, basically. It's it's becoming a little difficult to handle that situation there. So it's not purely only Manipur which has led to these kind of infiltrations and all that, but most of them have come, according to the security forces, have come unarmed. But there is also a possibility that the same route being used by these militants to enter India with sophisticated arms and ammunitions. Whether it was done now or whether it was planned in advance, and they were already there was a stockpile which they had. So that needs to be looked into. But as long as there's turmoil in Myanmar also, we continue to face this problem of infiltration. So there needs to be some stability in that place also.
Right. That's true, Vicky. So, of course, the situation is definitely turning a little bit more worse than it was before. With, as you said, that situation in Myanmar also worsening, and the kind of infiltration that we are witnessing right now. But hopefully, we hope that in coming times there would be a little bit more better situation where the the people can, at least live their life in some peace and calm. But that's all the time we have here on the Defense India podcast. So thank you very much, Vicky, for joining me.
Thanks, Akash. Thank you so much.